you share with us what you have found in precipitation, starting with surfactants and graphene?
Yes, Dane. So like many of the callers before, you were the one who helped open my eye to what was happening. And being a scientist, I thought, well, if Dane found all of this, I can do my own test and see if I can find the same thing and know for sure whether or not what he's saying is true or not. And sure enough, with the initial test, I started to find aluminum at very high levels, which was concerning. And then I start testing the pH of the rainfall and the snowfall, and those are things that anybody can do. Anybody can go in the store, don't go on Amazon, go somewhere else and buy a pH meter, cheap pH meter, and test the pH of your water, of your rainfall, of your snowfall, and you will see that the pH is extremely alkaline. It should not be alkaline, based on what the EPA says on their website, based on a lot of scientific data that came, and all the things that happened back in the 80s with the acid rain. You know that the acid pH should be acidic, should be in the range of 5, a little bit above 5, for regular pristine rainfall. But what we're seeing is sometimes the pH of the rainfall is above 8, and that's the pH of seawater. So that's not possible unless there's something else being put into the atmosphere that is dragging that pH way up, way higher than it should be. So we continue testing, and we're finding that there is a lot of metals that are not supposed to be in the rainfall, and just shows that, yes, they are spraying materials in the atmosphere. We're seeing a lot of potassium, a lot of calcium, a lot of magnesium, which is not possible to be up there. Some of the other things that we found, like you mentioned, we tested for surfactants, and to my surprise, that was a very surprising thing that we found. Snowfall particularly is very high in surfactants, and again, there should be no surfactant in snowfall. Why would it be there? And then if you look into some of the patent materials that they have, especially for when you talk about graphene and some of these other nanoparticles, if you put them in solution, they will coagulate, they will stick together. And the one way to keep them separated, to keep them apart, to keep them dispersed, is by putting surfactant in the mixture. And that's what they are using to keep things to flow the way they do. And again, we did recently, we were able to find some protocols to test for graphene in the snow, and we also tested positive. So we also now know that graphene is part of the mixture, just as you've been saying for a long time. You've been suspicious that this was present. Now we have confirmation that indeed is present and is also part of the mixture.
If I could hold you right there for one moment, Joe, and just to elaborate on a couple points you've made. First, on the surfactants, yes, exactly the effect that you described, keeping the coagulation from occurring in the dispersions. We see surfactants in some of the material mix from who we believe are the main primary material suppliers. American Elements is one of those. Surfactants also would make the frozen precipitation that we're told is just naturally nucleated snow much more slick, and it is difficult not to try to connect these massive traffic accidents like what just happened on I-81 in Pennsylvania when you have a frozen material, and I know this firsthand from the frozen material that now falls in Northern California. It is of a completely different composition than what has historically been the case, much heavier in many cases, much more slippery, clumpy. It is a very different